Iran isn't buying Trump's story, and it's saying so loud and clear. The war of words between Iran and U.S. President Donald Trump is heating up, with Tehran now directly challenging two major claims made by Trump over the past week. Professor Seyed Mohammad Marandi, a political analyst and advisor to the Iranian government, has flatly rejected Trump's assertion that Iran secretly requested a meeting in Doha. According to Marandi, Iran never asked for talks, and the claim is simply false. He also dismissed Trump's latest statement that U.S. forces struck Iranian radar installations for 3 consecutive nights. Marandi insisted no Iranian radar sites were hit, adding that if the United States had actually carried out such attacks, Iran's response would have been swift and massive. The comments are part of Tehran's broader effort to push back against Washington's narrative at a time of heightened tensions between the two countries. Trump made the first claim on June 29th in a Truth Social post, declaring in all caps that Iran had requested a meeting in Doha, and later repeated the assertion to reporters on June 30th and July 1st. Then, during a July 2 interview with CNBC, Trump claimed American forces had targeted Iranian radar installations for 3 consecutive nights. Iran, however, says none of it happened, rejecting both the alleged back-channel diplomacy and the reported military strikes, while warning that any real U.S. attack would invite a powerful retaliation. For now, the two sides remain locked in a battle of competing narratives, with each accusing the other of spreading misinformation as tensions continue to simmer.
We strongly condemn the United States' recent air attacks and aggression of 27 June 2026 against Iran's southern coastal facilities, which constituted a flagrant violation of Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the Charter, as well as a clear breach of Paragraph 1 of the Islamabad MOU. Should aggression against Iran continue, or should the United States continue to violate the MOU, Iran will continue to exercise this inherent right to protect its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Rather than blaming Iran, these Council members should call on the United States to honor its commitments, cease its unlawful actions, and comply fully with the UN Charter and international law.
I speak today on behalf of the Kingdom of Bahrain. The state targeted and directly harmed by a treacherous Iranian aggression renewed this week with ballistic missiles and drones. It targeted vital areas populated by civilians, even though Iran had signed a memorandum of understanding in Islamabad with the United States on the 17th of June, which explicitly stipulated a cessation of military operations on all fronts. The Kingdom of Bahrain recently is not a passing event, but rather a continuous series of attacks that began on the 28th of February and continued even after the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding. And to this day, its territories have been subjected during this period to a total of 808 attacks, including 203 ballistic missiles and 605 drones. The aggression deliberately targeted civilian objects, vital facilities, and residential areas, causing 3 martyrs and 465 injuries among safe civilians, including citizens and residents, among them women and children.
Mr. President,
Perhaps the most dangerous aspect of this approach is the targeting by an Iranian drone at dawn on the 5th of April of operational units at the Gulf Petrochemical Industries Company in the Sitra area. Hitting an ammonia tank inside a populated military perimeter. Had it not been for proactive measures and the decision to empty the tank, the toxic gas leak would have led to a grave humanitarian catastrophe. as containing the danger required establishing a 2-kilometer precautionary zone and evacuating nearby residents. Targeting a facility containing hazardous materials in a populated civilian area amounts to a war crime,
which is the same classification announced by the national authorities.
Russia welcomed the agreement to end the military conflict between the United States and Iran, achieved through the energetic and effective mediation of Pakistan and Qatar. The signed Memorandum of Understanding paved the way for further negotiations and gave hope for the full establishment of peace. We proceed from the fact that Iran, like any other United Nations member state, has the right to self-defense as provided for by Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. In this case, enemy military facilities are logical targets and do not enjoy immunity. We also saw statements from Iranian officials that the retaliatory strikes were aimed specifically at United States military infrastructure in the region. If civilian objects were damaged during the strikes, then this deserves condemnation. Targeted attacks on civilian infrastructure, regardless of the country, whether in Iran or in the Arab Gulf states, are unacceptable. Russia consistently emphasizes this on various platforms, including the Security Council. Mr. Chairman, we must not forget that the root cause of the current escalations in the Middle East lies in one thing only: American-Israeli aggression against Iran, which has not only become a gross violation of its sovereignty, but has also jeopardized the security of many other countries in the region. Against this backdrop, we regret that our Arab friends have once again become hostages to another exchange of strikes. We are convinced that in this sensitive and critical period, it is essential to strictly follow the understandings reached by Washington and Tehran, and to prevent new outbreaks of conflict throughout the Middle East region, including in Lebanon. We hope that work on a comprehensive agreement will help restore not only lasting peace, but also trust between our friends on both sides of the Persian Gulf. We expect that the result of these efforts will also be the resumption of unimpeded and safe navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, which would benefit energy and food security. In this context, we would like to draw attention once again to the updated version of the Russian concept for ensuring collective security in the Persian Gulf region, which we shared with our Arab and Iranian partners at the end of May. This document provides for a phased approach to resolving conflict situations, the principle of equal and indivisible security, the development of confidence-building measures, and ensuring freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz.
China welcomes the launch of follow-up consultations on the Memorandum of Understanding by the United States and Iran with the assistance of Pakistan and Qatar, and their consensus on the next negotiation mechanism.
I categorically reject the baseless allegation made by the United States. Once again, the representative of the United States has resorted to lies and disinformation against Iran. The facts are clear. In the midst of diplomatic negotiation together with the Israeli regime, the United States betrayed diplomacy twice and launched 2 wars of aggression against Iran, in blatant violation of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. These violations constitute a grave threat to international peace and security. I also reject the unfounded accusation made by certain Western members of the Council and the representative of Bahrain. Instead of addressing the root cause of the current crisis, they have ignored the unlawful aggression committed against Iran, remained silent in the face of these serious violations, and sought to shift blame onto the victims. During the attacks in June 2025 and between 28 February and 8 April 2026, the United States deliberately targeted civilians and civilian infrastructure, including hospitals, sport facilities, schools, and cultural sites. Even the President of the United States and other senior U.S. officials publicly admitted to and openly boasted about committing these heinous war crimes against the Iranian people and civilian infrastructure. More than 4,800 civilians, including women and children, were killed. The killing of school girls in Minab remains one of the most horrific examples of this atrocious crime. The Security Council failure to discharge its responsibilities has reinforced impunity and emboldened further unlawful acts. We strongly condemn the United States' recent air attacks and aggression of 27 June 2026 against Iran's southern coastal facilities, which constituted a flagrant violation of Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the Charter, as well as a clear breach of Paragraph 1 of the Islamabad MOU. Should aggression against Iran continue, or should the United States continue to violate the MOU, Iran will continue to exercise this inherent right to protect its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Rather than blaming Iran, these Council members should call on the United States to honor its commitments, cease its unlawful actions, and comply fully with the UN Charter and international law. The United States committed a material breach of its commitment and seriously undermined the diplomatic process. Fifth, Iran remains fully committed to implementing the MOU, including its provisions concerning the Strait of Hormuz, provided that the United States faithfully fulfill its own obligations. Why you prevent the international vessels could reach to the Iranian ports? You cannot deny the facts. The fact is that 70% of Americans and taxpayers oppose your administration's war policy toward Iran. They believe that Americans' interests have been sacrificed for the Israeli interests.
Since the beginning of this wave of escalation, the state of Kuwait has been subjected to repeated attacks totaling 893 drones, 379 ballistic missiles, and 15 cruise missiles. In earlier stages, this resulted in a number of casualties and injuries, including a young girl, as well as material damage to vital facilities.